A warm welcome to today's talk, and today I want to talk about self-image and the inner critic, because I was thinking about how the whole self-help industry could be going down the same route as cosmetic surgery. What do I mean by that? Well, there's this incessant pressure or desire to improve and to be different, look different. And what I see of people who have a lot of cosmetic surgery done or a lot of treatments like fillers, etc., it becomes very difficult to actually stop doing them. It becomes a sort of addiction because you have this curated image of yourself, which you then have to maintain at great cost. Mind you, my hairdresser does cost quite a lot too. Anyway, what made me, I thought I'm a little bit concerned about this because what's the connection with the self-help industry? Yeah, I can call it an industry. Is that the self-help industry often puts the emphasis on what's wrong with us and how we could be a better version of ourselves. Now, anybody who knows me anyway, well, or has listened, I think I said it in an earlier video, I really have an allergy to that idea of the best version of yourself. Please, give me a break. You are fine the way you are. So there's this kind of thing, if I just do a bit more therapy or go to another workshop or do this or do that, then I'll be able to perfect myself somehow. That doesn't exist. It's deadening. It's wanting to achieve this sort of enlightened version of yourself, either physically or emotionally or mentally or spiritually, I think is quite frankly a waste of time. And I might be doing a few therapists out of work by saying this, or myself. I don't care. Anyway, yes, I think that's a danger of this longing for perfection, because what it's about is trying to escape from our pain. And most of us, if not all of us, have an inner critic who is always ready with comments and wagging finger, and is always ready to tell us how we could be better and look better and do this better and do that better. I've got one of those, very well acquainted with her. It's a she, usually. And so I have to negotiate with her every now and again and say, okay, I've heard enough of you today. You can go and sit down. Thanks for your advice. I'm not going to take it, but thanks for your advice anyway. This has come up in a couple of different ways in the last few days. A couple of different people I was talking to. One person with a really strong inner critic, quite vicious really, and was talking about wanting to get rid of it. But it doesn't work like that, you see. If you try to get rid of this part of yourself, it will only go underground and come at you in a way that you don't expect. And it will come at you seemingly from outside yourself. So you'll come across somebody who's very critical or judgmental towards you, and you'll feel really hurt by it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel hurt if you feel really judged by somebody or criticised. That's a very normal human reaction. But when we have an inner critic like that, it's better to get to know them really well. So better the devil you know, and try and find out about them. What would they look like? If you had to imagine what this figure would look like. Maybe somebody from a film, or maybe it's a natural phenomenon like a storm or a flood or whatever. But this critical part of you, get to know them and find out what they're doing there, because they are part of you. Usually, or very often, these parts of us are connected with the way we were brought up, and perhaps with family patterns, and often the way we were parented. But that's not the only place. So try and get to know that inner critic. What kind of voice do they have? Is it a male voice, female voice? What kind of tone does it have? Does it have anything useful to say? Sit down and have a chat with it. That sounds like, I'm inviting you to having a multiple personality disorder. No, it's not what the syndrome's called, but anyway, you know what I mean. Get to know that part of yourself. Then you will recognize it more quickly when it comes up, and you will be able to negotiate more easily. It's just more helpful, I think, not to try and get rid of it or to suppress it. Another way this comes up is, and this is something that also came up a couple of days ago, was we were talking about how between a couple that one felt criticised by the other one, and was sort of trying to is in a dilemma of like, but I'm this behaviour you're criticising me for, it's a part of myself I quite like, and I don't really know what to do. Now, again, if somebody's judging or criticising us about a particular part of our behaviour, our usual instinct, our tendency is to try and, again, get rid of that behaviour. At least if we're trying to get the approval of this person, or we're trying to, somehow be worthy of their love, then the tendency is to try and suppress that behaviour. But actually, that's not terribly helpful either. What I said to this person was, don't try to get rid of that behaviour. Do it more, but do it more consciously. That's what it's about. Do it more consciously. So you find out about it in yourself. What is this part of you trying to do? Because all these things have a function in ourselves, and getting to know them, becoming more aware of them, embracing more fully who you are, warts and all, will make life a bit easier, because then you will be able to distinguish more easily when somebody is saying something that you might want to listen to as a legitimate criticism or whatever, and you want to do something with it, and when it's just something that aligns with your inner critic and is not necessarily helpful. When I was just thinking about what I'm going to talk about today, I came across an article which was about how women present themselves online, and that women who do a lot to, or present themselves in a way that doesn't actually align in terms of what they look like, the kind of lifestyle they have, or whatever, they present a different image of themselves online to their actual image, their real life. And that gives an increasing sense of alienation from themselves, an increasing self-objectification. So for me, that's carrying on in the same line. Then if you want to maintain that image, you have to commit acts, let me put it, that sounds very serious, but commit acts of inauthenticity all the time in order to keep that up. Then you become more and more removed from who you really are. When I was reading this, I was also thinking about making these videos. I'm thinking, I should really make a thumbnail thing, and YouTube catches, for some reason, on the opening shot of on YouTube, it catches the most unflattering expression. But there's something, I just want to leave it there, because that's me. Obviously, I'm making that face, even though I think, what? I didn't do that at any point. But it's just, I'm challenging myself as well to deal with that slight discomfort and the urge in me to present a more tidied up version of myself, a more with the expression on my face that I think I want to have. It's a temptation I have to resist. But if I want to stay true to myself, if I don't want to think, oh my God, just wait till whoever's watching these videos has never met me in real life, actually meets me in real life, they're going to be so disappointed. I don't want to have to think about that. So maybe you could think for yourself, how easy is it for you to be authentic? When do you find yourself bending in a certain way because you want to get approval from somebody else? What does that do to you if you keep repeating it? And how can you embrace all these different aspects of yourself? And like I've often said, there's nothing wrong with you. Try just being your own unique self and doing it, bringing as much as you can about your behaviour and about your attitudes, making that as conscious as possible. And everyone can do that. Thanks a lot for listening and watching. Bye.